Hello everyone. Today I'm presenting my social work advocacy plan titled Breaking Down Barriers aimed at including international students in mental health care access and public discourse. Starting my presentation, I want to start by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land in which I'm recording this presentation. As we share our knowledge practices within this space, I pay my respect to the past, present, and emerging elders and any peers present today. Let me start off by setting a platform to my problem with some simple data. So international students made an astounding economic contribution of $37.4 billion during 2019, and there are 725,582 international students, with 21% of enrolling in universities as of 2023. However, amid these impressive figures, pressing concern demands our attention, a subject often overlooked. So according to the Coroner's Court of Victoria, between 2009 and 2015, there were 27 suicides among international students and 16 more potential cases. And among those, only 22.2% of international students access mental health services before their deaths. This is compared to the 57% of Australian-born students accessing mental health services before their deaths. And according to the report, international students have a disproportionately higher rate of mental illness among the deaths, which is at 33.3% compared to the 17.9% that is observed among local students. So let us think as to why this is a problem. So international students choose to study in Australia for better education, language skills, and job prospects. But this comes at a greater cost of social isolation, cultural adjustments, and visa restrictions. So in a study done in 2021, it became evident that mental health struggles of international students in Australia stems not only from these challenges, but also from a troubling reluctancy to seek help. Tragically, this hesitancy emerges from a profound fear of visa consequences or repercussions. The notion that being unwell could jeopardize their current visa status or their future visa status, creating an environment where seeking help for health issues become a non-viable option for international students. So the obstacles imposed by these systemic barriers are compounded by negative public perception of international students, frequently labeling them as individuals who exploit the immigration system. This collision of factors significantly worsens the challenges experienced by international students, contributing to their mental health and well-being. So let me take you through the approach that I've taken in regarding to my social advocacy plan in addressing these issues. So firstly, let's talk about collaboration because that's going to be the heartbeat of my approach. So I don't know how many of my peers would know that Victoria University houses an International Students Association, but currently the association serves as just a welcoming body, but my approach is about aiming to transform the association to a much more of a robust advocacy platform and to making inroads to have collaboration with other international student associations from other universities. So just picture a powerful advocacy group or an association that's worth around $37 billion. Now, let me talk about the mission of this united front. To have influence in the corridors of power in Canberra, the body will be writing to local federal MPs, raising awareness and pushing Canberra to draft legislations that gives equal access to mental health care for international students. And the next step would be challenging and changing the prevalent negative public misconceptions surrounding international students. And this will be done by writing articles surrounding lived experience of international students to national newspapers and magazines. And so as a means to as a it's going to be more of a myth buster. So let me quickly touch on what are the aims for these approaches. So firstly, it's collaboration. There's a powerful tool for change through shared experiences and sharing power. But the primary aim would be legislation reforms to advocate vigorously for these legislative reforms that ensures accessible and equal mental health care for international students, and also pushing the systemic changes that remove barriers and enhances a more tailored support mechanism, just like for any other local students. And finally, it's about facilitating the active inclusion of international students in the national dialogue on mental health. So their voices and experiences must be acknowledged and integrated into a more broader discussion, so we could have an inclusive approach to cater for diverse needs for all individuals, including international students. Let me quickly talk about my research framework, which is PAR. So there are three reasons as to why I picked this research framework. Number one, as I constantly talk about legislative changes at a macro level, PAR is an active social work methodology that emphasizes how the root causes of oppression is deeply embedded in macro social structures. And number two, the key essence of my advocacy is about shared of lived experience by these students. So the PAR serves as a method of empowerment for these students to comprehend and address the political and economic dynamics that shape their lives. And finally, it's about PAR helps me to lay out ground framework to foster consciousness and a activist attitude amongst the international students and the International Student Association bodies. Finally, let me finish off by touching how my approaches take into consideration culture, power, and ethics. And with regarding to culture, I've taken a cultural humility approach because the framework itself emphasizes the need to dismantle oppressive structures, challenging their dominant narrative, and it helps to mitigate preconceived notions and offers the opportunity to showcase culture through which you can build trust and create authenticity and connection among international students. And when it comes to power, we know institutional dynamics have historically overlooked and ignored abuses of vulnerable population. And this is why we as social workers should be guided by our ethical principles for strategic changes, and also to do these changes via activism and creating small activist groups. And finally, it's about ethics. As social workers, we advocate for individual value, well-being, justice, and equity, ensuring fair access to everyone, both individuals and as groups. So our collective mission emphasizes societal change through these core principles, and establishing trust with vulnerable students aim demands for competence and courage from social workers. Hence why I emphasize the fact that collaboration is the heartbeat of my approach. Thank you very much for your time, folks. Please feel free to pitch in your thoughts, reflection, or any questions that you would have. Thank you very much for your time.